Good evening, everyone. Call the meeting to order, and I'd like to humbly acknowledge the land which we live, learn, work, and play is Treaty 8 territory. Traditional lands of the Cree and Dene and unceded territory of the Métis. For the record, we have Councillor Ball joining us online, and Councillor Ball, if you could have your camera on from voting, that would be appreciated. And anyone in the audience that wishes to address council, please register prior to the start of the agenda item you're speaking to with the Legislative Services Desk to my right, and you'll have 5 minutes to present, and please remain on topic. First, we have the report on the 2024-2026 Fiscal Management Strategy. I'd like to invite Lori Farquharson to present.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, my name is Lori Farquharson, Chief Financial Officer, and here with me is Kevin Navidi, Senior Manager of Assessment and Taxation. The fiscal management strategy is prepared annually and presented to Council for approval. The purpose of the strategy is to provide a high-level overview of the municipality's operating and capital needs while providing context for setting property tax rates, user fees, and other municipal service charges. In June of 2022, Council approved a strategic plan that would guide the municipality from 2022 to 2025. The strategic plan outlines 5 key values and 28 milestones, each with specific tasks assigned to divisions. The fiscal management program has milestones including implementing a community resiliency strategy, confirming and/or developing service standards through strategic budget workshops, and ensuring government grants are fully utilized. Through the implementation of these actions, administration will focus on understanding the full cost of the programs and services it provides while emphasizing and identifying further savings and efficiencies. With a renewed focus on community resiliency, prioritized and fiscally responsible capital and investment decisions will be made using a balanced approach of providing essential services to residents while positioning the municipality for long-term sustainability. The key priorities aligning with the strategies are asset management, systems enhancement, and tax stabilization. Asset management oversight is a critical initiative. The municipality relies on a large and diverse collection of assets to deliver core and essential services to its communities. These assets require responsible acquisition, operation, maintenance, rehabilitation, and eventual replacement or disposal. Long-term financial planning and visibility to asset lifecycling are key components to maintaining healthy infrastructure for the region. To support this requirement, the municipality participated in a provincial asset management cohort to work towards enabling effective control and governance with a mandate of creating systematic improvements. In addition, a dedicated branch has been formed to establish corporate governance and management of critical assets. This branch will be responsible for the continued advancement of the municipality's asset management program. Systems enhancements are necessary to maintain or replace existing applications. In alignment with approved asset management governance, it is the development of computerized maintenance management system. The goal is to implement a fully integrated asset management and preventative maintenance system. The system will enhance the management of assets using data-driven and proactive maintenance strategies to increase planned maintenance, reduce downtime, increase efficiency through asset availability, and reduce overall reactive maintenance costs. Additional critical system enhancement plans include the federally mandated transition of the emergency communication network to an internet protocol-based technology called the Next Generation 911 Solution. This modernization of the 911 network and infrastructure will lead to a safer, faster, and more informed emergency response. Cybersecurity is another area of focus for system enhancement and protection. A multifaceted, intelligent, and integrated response to the ever-evolving risk of cyber attacks is critical to protect the municipality. This includes many security measures, tools, and technologies to protect and mitigate risk to the municipality from various types of attacks, such as malware, viruses, and ransomware. Finally, tax stabilization determines the vulnerability of the assessment base to mitigate the impact on property tax revenue. Due to changes in the Municipal Government Act, Section 358.1, the maximum tax ratio, limitations will impact the municipality's ability to raise sufficient tax revenue. As a result, there may be an increased dependency on financial reserves to provide supplemental funding. The municipality will fund capital projects through tax revenue, grants, development funds, and capital reserve funds where necessary. Debt will not be considered unless extraordinary circumstances occur. These strategies are guided by the Municipal Government Act, the 2022 to 2025 Strategic Plan, the Fiscal Responsibility Policy FIN 160, the approved 2024 operating and capital budgets, and the 2025 to 2029 capital plan, and finally the 2025 to 2026 operating financial plan. This concludes our presentation. We're happy to take any questions.
Thank you, CFO Farquharson. Before I go to my colleagues, can I ask, have we ever done an asset management future expense study before, previous to this?
Through the chair to the chair, I'm not sure. I know that there's been projects that have been stood up to look at our asset management needs, but I'm not sure. I'd have to confirm.
Thank you. Councillor Stroud?
Oh,
no problem. Councillor Ball?
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. To your question, they've been looking at asset management for almost 20 years now. That was actually what I was gonna ask. I remember being part of a team in 2005 where we went on a training course with an asset management software. So I guess my question to Lori is, where are we at in this process as far as getting an asset management vendor or software solution or whatever you want to call it?
Through the chair to Councillor Ball, we did go to market for a partner to help us stand up the asset management application. We had to pause that work. We weren't able to get enough resources internally. One of the greatest issues that is facing us in implementing this new application is data cleansing efforts. We have 28 different data sources for our asset management information. And in order to actually be at a place where we can migrate that data, all of this data cleansing has to happen. So we are actually doing that simultaneously right now as we're doing an asset management registry, and we're transitioning all the data over into an existing application to assist in the upload. So it's still going to take a couple of years, but we have support from administration now that this is a priority, and we're going to move it along.
Okay, but we do have a software solution chosen and a path that we're taking.
There was a software solution chosen, but we are looking at other opportunities that could simplify and shorten the timeline. The solution is SAP
Right.
and implementing asset management plant maintenance.
Okay, yeah, I just recall being a part of a team that, I mean, we collected data, and I can appreciate your comments about data cleansing, because a lot of that data was collected in 2005 to 2009. Mm. So in that case, most of it's probably outdated already. So no, appreciate the update. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ball. Do we have any other questions from Council? Councillor Benjoko?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. Thank you for the presentation, CFO. So when I look at the page 9 of the report that was submitted, I see transfers from reserves for operations. 2021 was 2.1 million, 22 was 1.5, 23 was 1.1. I see 9.163. Then when you go to the revenue trend, is listed again as revenue, and the figures are not close to anything we've seen in previous years. So I'm wondering if this is the right figure, or if something changed that you can advise or educate us.
Through the chair to Councillor Benjoko, every year is going to be different. When you're looking at the revenue line where it shows transfers from reserves for operations,
Yes.
this is, and I'm not sure exactly which page you were looking at. There's a few different places.
Page
where it's-
9, and then you go to page 12. First of all, the same figure was listed twice. Page 9, it says 9 of 12 or something like that. And yeah, and then when you go to the page 12 of 33, you'll see that.
So on the first page where it says the 2024 operating budget and 2025 to 2026
Yes.
plan, under the revenue category, you have 2021 is 2.1 and then it's 1.5. This is a draw on operating reserves and carry forwards to help fund the subsequent year. And then when you look at the expenses, transfers to reserves for operations, is that what you're referring to?
Okay, so thank you. So first of all, the difference is significant. The highest before was 2.1. For this year, you're saying 9.1. That's significant.
Yes.
So we also, and then somehow this same figure is repeated in page 12 under revenue trend as transfers again from reserve. So it's there's something not matching there for me, but you might need to educate us. First, the figure is significant compared with every other year that we've seen and the projection for 25 and 26. So there must be something there that I'm not getting.
Through the chair to Councillor Benjoko, I'm happy to explain the strategy there. For the 2024 budget, you may recall that we did a lot of work in looking at what reserves that we had that we could use to fund things. In addition, we were asking administration when they were building their budgets to find budget cuts, so we significantly reduced the operating budgets. But where they had approved budgets in 2023 or prior with a carry forward, we did allow a bit of flexibility for 2024 to help level out the budget and meet the budget target that we needed. So this is an anomaly because we did find operating reserves. We did a large cleanup of the reserve balances, and then we also allowed those carry forwards. And I can certainly provide additional information to break down by division what those dollar values were. They were a part of the approved 2024 budget cycle.
Thank you. If you could please provide the additional information that for clarity purpose, that would be great. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Majoko. CEO?
Through the chair, I just wanted to add to the comments that was made by Councillor Ball and the CFO. That asset management is such a wide issue. It goes from replacing a seal and a pump to the actual buildings themselves. And what we've made a commitment to is to get that first layer, the higher level layer of our vertical and infrastructure assets done by the end of May. I think it was, we were talking about getting the first blush at that so that we have something to go back to the GAO on. And what we want to use that for is to identify what we need to be setting aside on an annual basis for our asset management. And there's figures, there is statistics out there which will help us do that. But it's so important because we need to identify what's called the infrastructure deficit, which is the difference between what we're spending on our assets and what we're funding. And that's the important thing that we need to bring forward, because that's going to identify what we need in funding going forward.
Thank you, CEO. Do you have any, Councillor Bussieres?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I guess through the chair to CEO, I know it's premature, but do we have any idea the cost to maintain, besides the vertical structures, the ones that are underground? Do we have any idea?
through the chair to Councillor Bussieres, we don't have an idea at the moment. We've only just we've done most of our vertical assets. We haven't done the horizontal assets yet, and we will have them done before May on a higher level.
Before May, like tonight before midnight?
Before May. May. End of May.
Okay.
That's my
'Cause May
birthday,
starts
31st
tomorrow.
of May.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Bussieres. Do you have any other questions from council? I'm not seeing any. Do we have any delegates for that at this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have no delegates for this
Can I have
item.
someone read the motion? Councillor Grandison?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the 2024/2026 fiscal management strategy dated April 9th, 2024 be accepted as information.
Thank you. And thank you for the second, Councillor Ball. Is there any other comments, questions, or debate points of council? Councillor Stroud?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. So within the report, it states administration is guided by council's strategic plan, a priority being fiscal responsibility. So in reviewing the operating budget, the largest cost is for salaries, wages, and benefits. From 2021 to 2023, there was an increase of $25.4 million. Then from the 2024 budget to the 2026 plan, there's a further $10 million. It seems like a very large amount to me. I believe we need to see a salaries, wages, and benefits graph similar to the taxes in the next fiscal management strategy report, showing the comparison to other municipalities. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Stroud. Do we have any other questions, comments, or debate points from council? I'm not seeing any. I'll call for a vote. And Councillor Dogar, how do you vote? Your mic is on mute, Councillor Dogar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And Councillor Dogar, how do you vote?
Yes, I vote for it.
Okay, thank you. That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Kevin. Moving on to item 3.1, Councillor's motions. I'll ask Councillor Bussieres to read out his motion, please.
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I move that administration bring forward a bylaw to create an audit and budget committee to exercise policy and governance oversight with respect to audit and budget matters.
Thank you, Councillor Bussieres. Have someone second that? And thank Councillor Bujoko for the second. Councillor Bussieres, do you want to speak to your motion?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Bowman. I guess I'm not sure how and when the audit and budget committee was extinguished before. I think Jade was kind enough to provide some information, her and her team, regarding it. I think we all recognize the importance of a finance and budget committee, Mayor Bowman. So I guess I'm just more open for questions. I guess if there are any, there's a couple points that I think are important moving forward with this committee, and I don't know if that's something we discuss now or we wait for Jade and her team to come back with something. I mean, I did have the help of Ledge Services, and I did some of my own research, and the Calgary one is actually, I thought of all the ones we looked at, Edmonton, Medicine Hat, and a few other ones, Red Deer. The Calgary one seems to be the one that I think is something I would like to see move forward. So I don't know if it's something I work with Jade and Ledge Services to bring back, or if it's something that they bring back and then we debate it in public regarding the structure.
I would say work with them and bring something back you're happy with and bring it back to council. Be the
Okay,
Jake.
I'm good with that. I don't think anybody needs to hear me rattle on why we need a finance and or audit and budget committee. I think we all understand the importance of one.
Absolutely. Do we have any delegates to this item?
We have no delegates registered for this item.
Okay. Questions, Councillor McGrath?
Thank you, through the chair. I was, I guess, amazed that they were taking away the committees. We had 4 structured committees that a councillor served, that he could serve the community, be informed, and actually be the conduit between council and the other members. So I want to commend, I just got to ask a question, I guess, because I want to infract upon the rules. The leakage still happens here in the city. We've seen it multiple times, and I think that having a committee, we'd take our pay bands and probably rationalize them going forward, because the day that we talk about is all coming. We used to take $1.5 billion, have that money, have cash and assets. We paid off our debt. We were making more servicing our debt and having a profit left over. So what I've seen, I just heard somebody say we follow council's direction. Well, I can tell you, since I've sat in this chair, very little do we take any direction. We just pick up after. So having a committee like you, sir, I thank you for bringing forward. Would it be your wish that that committee and the chair of that committee would bring the important parts forward? As we see, we're losing about, I think it's close to 20 million a year to industry. Would be dealing with the bread and butter issues of the pot.
Through the chair to Councillor McGrath, I would hope so. And I was going to ask you, I know you have a notice of motion, the whistleblower, but I would like you to allow maybe the whistleblower to fall under the Budget and Audit Committee, which it does in the city of Calgary, actually.
If that's a friendly amendment, I certainly would. And after I speak to it, I think there's no better place to house it. Because if we had all the pulleys working in the right direction, we would save ourselves the reputation and actually be able to put our synergies to generate revenue, what you're trying to do. So I'm all for it.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath. Do you have any other questions for Councillor Bussieres? Or even comments and debate points? Councillor Benjoko?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. I just want to say I strongly support this motion for many reasons: checks and balances, for transparency, and I hope that this committee will be reporting direct to council, or council will be at the steering driving this. That's what I'm hoping, so that we can also give us better visibility of things, rather than have layers of reporting before things come to council. So, Councillor Bussieres.
Through the chair to Councillor Banjenko, we'll definitely report back to council. And I'm hoping that we have four members of council. It can either be 2 and 2, 2 from the rural, 2 from the urban, or 3 and 1 if rural only needs 1 representative. So again, that will come forward when lead services and myself, I guess, work on it and bring it forward. And I guess through the chair to Jade, just looking for a timeline and when we can bring this back. I'm assuming we can do it before we break for summer.
Absolutely, through the chair. I'll make this my priority.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Benjoko. Councillor Stroud?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman. As a councillor, I need to understand the relevance and purpose of non-disclosure agreements. Also, a better understanding of disbursement of funds of certain entities that the Regional Municipality of Wood Buffalo provides funding for. It is my understanding that we have not had an RMWB internal auditor for 2 years, so there must be a lot of catch-up. So I strongly agree with the Audit and Budget Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stroud. Councillor Ball?
Thank you. Through the chair to, I guess, Councillor Bussieres. Certainly support this idea, but I'm trying to understand how this committee is made up. Like you'd mentioned, potentially 4 councillors, but who else? Somebody else has to have the expertise to do the audit piece. Who's doing that work?
Through the chair to Councillor Ball, the strategy I was going to hopefully work with is 4 councillors. Obviously, the mayor's there, and then 2 members of the public who are not city employees, obviously, who have some structure in the financial field or expertise in the financial field. that will be obviously impartial to the municipality. And the chair will be a council member and not a public member. Does that, and
Yeah,
obviously.
I don't know the Calgary model, right? So I was just curious what you meant by that, so.
Yeah, there would be, hopefully there's two folks from the public. I would hope that we could recruit people from here, but if they're in a conflict, because maybe they do work with the municipality in some capacity, whether it's Cape MMP or something, for example, we would hopefully be able to look outside of Fort McMurray, but stay in the province of Alberta. Does that sort of answer your question?
Yeah, sort of, but I mean, I'm thinking about our other committees where basically all these other committees are a volunteer basis. Is this committee that as well? Because if you're looking for someone with a certain skill set with obviously auditing skills and financial skills, I would suspect those people are going to want to get paid for what they do. So how does that all flush out? I mean, I don't think you're there yet, but is that something we're considering, or?
Through the chair to Councillor Ball, I am hoping that we don't have to pay the public members. Certainly the council will not be a paid, it'll be a position that we just, whoever wants to be on the committee. But I am hoping that we can recruit 2 public members that will not seek compensation, that will do it because I guess they care about the community. They want to help. They want to volunteer. I guess at the end of the day, if we need to compensate, then there's something the committee, or before we structure the committee, will have to come back to council for approval.
Right, and I guess my only concern is that, and again, I totally agree with this, but is the makeup of the committee relative to the expertise that's doing the review of the audits. Those people have to have that expertise. I'm a landscape architect. I'm not the guy to ask. I can read numbers, but I mean, I'm not an accountant. So it'd be good to get the right bodies, but I'm with you on this. Just was curious about a few things. Thanks.
Just, if I could just hopefully maybe answer Councillor Ball, the internal auditor will be on the committee or work with the committee. And the way I'd like to structure is the internal auditor is an employee of the council. So it's impartial. He or she's impartial.
Is that how that works in Calgary?
It does, and it works in Edmonton that way as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, through the chair. I guess rather than we'd all start to be fearful, we had this, would it be the same setup as you walked into when we started in your first term, where the experts are in the house, they're actually administration, and you're just trying to be contingent to a budget and making sure that we identify grants, and that before we take hours and hours on budgets, we structure, you're looking for the same structure probably that we had before that was working well?
Through the chair, I might need some help from Jade, because I can't remember the way the audit and budget. I don't think it was structured the same way, Councillor McGrath. Yeah. I think it was all all of council, was it not, Jade?
No.
Whole of council? No?
At one point, it was 5 members of council, and then it adjusted and changed again. My understanding at the time was the internal auditor reported into the CAO, not to the committee or to council directly.
Correct. That was Ralph, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mayor and the CEO are always ex officio. The chairman, the last chairman we had was Tyron Alt. And if we were working with industry on an issue that we needed some tax money or where it was going, they're the experts. The experts are administration. The filter and the gap we have, we get surprised by millions of dollars later. So having a committee that meets once a month, we're well in tune. We don't have to go around looking at the last moment. It just makes everything flow, especially trying to chase the cash around.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath. CEO?
I just want to let people know that you have to be careful when you're looking at the city of Edmonton and the city of Calgary, because they're charter cities. They're a different model from what we are, and so we'll have to make sure it complies with the MGA. And I love this idea. I think it's great to have an audit and finance committee, especially when you're looking at things like budgets and bringing things forward at the end of the year. But just be cautious on looking at Calgary and Edmonton as examples.
Thanks to you. Councillor McGrath?
There's Calgary, Edmonton, and then there's Fort McMurray for the three biggest municipal budgets in the province. And it was sad the day that administration decided we didn't need an audit committee because it made everything flow. So I'm happy it's back on the table. And Christ knows anybody that serves this seat, we do comply to the MGA. But when we start dealing with stuff like dealing with contracts in public, selling land in public, that's where you need your audit committee.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath. Are there any more questions or comments or debate points? And questions for Councillor Bussieres or the administration? I'll call for a vote.
Yes.
That's carried unanimously. Thank you. And thank you for bringing this forward, Councillor Bussieres. Moving on to item 3.2, I'll ask Councillor McGrath to read his motion, please. Your mic there. There you go. Go ahead, Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, through the chair. I move that council administration undertake a review, including but not limited to a strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats, otherwise known as SWOT, analysis of the current whistleblower policy, LEG-150, and the Integrity Commissioner Bylaw number 19/005 to provide information and direction to administration on amendments if required.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath. Can someone second that? Thanks for the second, Councillor Walkwin. Councillor McGrath, you want to speak to that motion, please?
I guess I'll speak to it as a person, probably more so as a councillor, and a guy that probably knows this too well. I don't think the current structure. I don't think the councillors, even myself today, there's a big gap in this this process. I've been through it 5 times, and it was all in house, and it's just a waste of taxpayers' money, a toll on my mental health. It's a reason not to serve, because every one of them was bogus. And the last one, well, you guys know it exposed bonus gate. You know, we gave out bonuses, signing non-disclosure. So this system got to be fixed. This was used as a tool. 11 months I was investigated while everybody took bonuses, and I bought it up. And it was slipped underneath the carpet. It goes together with the audit committee. You try living in this community when you know there's people out investigating you over nothing but bullshit. And then, as I told the mayor, Henry, after my investigation, it was legibly known that the report was given to you guys with false information, my name attached to it. And he's still employed by the city. So I believe, I'm not going to go on about this, but first of all, the whistleblower is what I see. I've sat in this chair since 2013. I've seen us spend almost $1 million all in house, slowing down the train to success. That's the whistleblower. And the whistleblower, if it's about a council member, the mayor holds the key to this city, and he hasn't, or she hasn't, for a long time, because we get so complicated with fighting on the inside. It doesn't do anybody no good, especially the guy that got to go home to his family, and after a while you can lose your family because you can really hit the skids. I came here off a bus with nothing, and I'm not leaving like with nothing. And the last 11 months, and you guys know, I work for a public sector. And I got goals to make, morals to keep. What I've seen in the city here in the last couple of years is pathetic. I watched people here this whistleblower use it as a tool to mentally abuse people. It's not working. And if it's about a councillor or mayor, why would you not let your colleagues know? If you got a concern, a real whistleblower, you would stop the process. You would know who they're talking about. And it comes right in harness with the Integrity Commissioner's report. These reports that come back to mayor and council, they should be all about integrity. I started with one. I end up with two. Made one along the way. And none of it was true. It's me that got to take it. And I get excited, sure, when you come to a community with nothing. Gives you a family, gives you a career. You come to serve the public. 19 years I served across the street, never had a hook. But when I get onto something, and it's close to taking $1.5 million and splitting it up between 10 or 15 people, and I talk about it in 21, it goes underneath the rug and sits on somebody's desk for 6 months until the election. This is why this system is not working. I'm told I can put a whistleblower complaint in on Al. It goes to the contractor. Nobody in the city finds out until it's time to investigate it. Well, that's too late. If you had somebody on doing something here that wasn't fit, what's the sense for sitting on somebody's desk while we run aloud? Like I say, this place here sometimes looks like a crime scene. This is not. I'm doing this. I'm doing this for other people because I came into this term because I'd never served with people like the last term. And the Integrity Commissioner, does it have to be a lawyer from Calgary that don't like Fort McMurray? That you either meet it on him on his day? People got to realize when you're making 100% of your Integrity Commission complaints about a councillor from staff, I think we should go back to the old ways and try to work things out. And if you're going to take somebody's mental health and turn it upside down, we're supposed to be leaders in the community. And I took her on the chin, and it's all over for me. But I want to make sure it doesn't happen to anybody else. And the lawyer that's still working for the city that falsified documents that gave them to my colleagues, that's another sin. And I can say it publicly. I just took it too long, and I sat in this council chamber and watched people negotiate wages that were directly affecting themselves. That's a whistleblower's complaint. That's an Integrity Commissioner. I got an ombudsman report upstairs, someplace. Now I've been through 4 CAOs and they still won't show it. When you serve the community, you're supposed to have a life afterwards and a family, and not wind up in some institution because of the stuff that was thrown at you. So I don't need, you guys know actually firsthand what I just went through. All of you guys are sitting here tonight and the guys on the camera. Before a council, like, I don't want to get too, all I'm saying is the system you got, ladies and gentlemen, it's only a system set to drive us apart. And myself personally, I'm not done with what I went through, but I want to make sure that the next guy comes. The mayor is the boss. The CAOs to be respected. Council wears the brunt of it, but we don't need somebody to throw a piece of paperwork at you to sideline you so that you can get your bonuses and just carry on like nothing happens. Integrity to me is what I tell Mark Hynek in public, I'll tell you in private. So one face, and I've had enough of it here. And I know the people, and Lance, I commend you about the Audit Committee, because we got pay bands here. We got people making as much money as the Prime Minister until he's got a raise. So this is what we need to fix. And Guy, if you're looking at me, I never said this in public, man, but the inmates to run the asylum, and I can tell you that I got 1.5 years left. I'm going to retire, but I hope to God the next time that you try to ruin somebody's life is at least beneficial. This chair, anybody wants this chair, you got to wear a lot of hats. And I've been through the ringer, and it never hurt me so much as a C. You still employ a guy that typed, and you guys know now for a fact, typed unfair, untruth remarks. And what I find, I had motions of council brought forward. The same people that are sitting there today said, when I brought them forward, they were illegal. Now they're back in their past. This is about integrity and a whistleblower system that works. And it was put in by the province. I think we're in the year number 10 or year number 9. I know the system. I know what it does to your mental health. If you're going to bring something forward, validate it. And make sure the mayor knows. Because if you got a councillor that's trying to drain the system, or an employee that's trying to drain the system, it'd be like someone out there trying to start a fire and just let them burn the place down, so to speak. So that, Mr. Mayor, is the best I can keep without getting a bit emotional. Because myself, I've had a great run here in McMurray. But don't forget, I got 3 kids and a wife. They got to live through it too. It's all right for some of you guys to look at your phone every day, every night and laugh at it. But I guarantee you, you're not the ones that got to go home and go out in the public and be talked about, be scrutinized. It's a small community.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath.
I hope that I don't get quizzed a whole lot about it, because you guys just seen the journey I was on for 11 months.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath. Appreciate it. Do we have any delegates to this item?
We have no registered delegates. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from council? I have a quick question to start, Councillor McGrath. With putting part of this under the Finance and Audit Committee, do we need to, maybe it's a question for Jay, do we need to amend this motion in any way to include that in the Finance and Audit Committee?
Through the chair to Mr. Mayor, I believe what we could do is, if you wanted to pass the motion as is, then once the bylaw comes back with respect to Councillor Bussieres' motion, council can decide who's doing the review of this, and if there's a review that needs to take place with the Audit and Budget Committee, or if there's a review for all of council to consider.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Councillor Ball?
Thank you. Through the chair, I think I might have a question maybe for Jade. The whistleblower policy, as Councillor McGrath mentioned, brought in by the province. Are we even able to change that? Just curious.
Through the chair to Councillor Ball, the provincial regulation is specific to council's code of conduct and speaks to each local authority having the requirement to outline what the process is for complaints. So there would need to be a process outlined with respect to how members of the public or members of council, whomever, were to submit complaints with respect to conduct violations of council members. So there would need to be a process established. The current Integrity Commissioner bylaw is based on the provincial leading practices.
Okay, so, but we could make revisions to it if we so choose to do so, of our policy or our procedure.
We would have to take it away and look at it, and of course ensure that it's in alignment with the regulation and the Municipal Government Act.
Right, okay. And the reason I ask is I certainly have some concerns about it as well. I mean, I could anonymously complain that Councillor Weigel's an Edmonton Oilers fan, and he would have to prove it that he's not. And these anonymous complaints, they don't have any culpability, and obviously that's a silly example, but I'm sure there's some out there that are much more serious in nature that are erroneous, and you get run through the ringer because of, well, someone's fantasy to run you through the ringer for nothing. So I would like to see some change. I just not sure what we're permitted to do. Thank you.
Through the chair, for clarity, Councillor Ball, the whistleblower policy is separate from the Integrity Commissioner bylaw that's currently in practice. The Integrity Commissioner bylaw does not contemplate receiving anonymous complaints. Complaints must be submitted to the third-party Integrity Commissioner with a name associated in order to work through the investigation process. With respect to the whistleblower policy, anonymous complaints are permitted. That is an area that can be reviewed by administration and brought forward to council with recommendations for changes.
Right, and I knew that, and that's why I mentioned it, so. Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ball. Councillor McGrath?
Thank you. The MGA Act is the lowest acceptable standard that all the 365's got to follow. We can improve it. The way we can improve this is actually the whistleblower comes into City Hall. Administration knows. The mayor knows. The members alerted. The employees alerted. It doesn't take 6 months behind the back door. People change. The Integrity Court, as was passed on, they're two different venues, but they're all about governance and about transparency and about integrity. And the way it's working now, it all depends who's hot to trot, who's on the next file, who you can throw off the rock. And I think it's a shame that we don't have the committee set up that here they get dropped off in the office. It's a witch hunt. That's what we've been doing here. I know it quite well.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath. Councillor Dogar, you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for giving me the chance. I went to Integrity Commissioner a number of times, a number of complaints, and I had a better experience. I can share it with you all. Briefly speaking, my end would be that it should not be under the municipality, mayor and CEO. They should have nothing. They should be all pooled up with province. And any complaint, first of all, the committee of the council should investigate it. If it is complicated, only then it should be referred to province for integrity commissioner. You see 2-3 complaints about myself, about Mr. McGrath. Everything was ultimately decided by the council. So if we can find, in my 2 cases, I apologize straight away. So, and ultimately the council decided it. So why have we lost so many dollars? And we lost it only because of the procedural matter. Why it should go to Integrity Commissioner if it can be solved by a small committee of 1 councillor or 2 councillors or complicated 3 councillors. And if they feel that it needs to go to Integrity Commissioner, only then it should go. But one thing is for sure, they should never be with the municipality. They should be pulled up and their bosses should be in the province. Now, I know in my first Integrity Commissioner, you see about that Indigenous Affairs, what all interim report was, it is still, I can make you, that was different. The final report was managed. 2 names were eliminated who were asked for extra training also, for sanctions also. This is totally unfair because people get it managed. This is, I can say, and those who got them managed out, they understand what I am saying. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Grandison?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair, all I had to say is, this is a process that we've already, asked administration to review and bring back recommendations. I don't think it's the expertise of anybody in this room. So I think we need to do exactly what the motion says. Send it back to administration for review, bring it back to council, and not debate it here, but allow administration to bring back something and council can make a decision. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Grandison. I don't see any questions, so I'll call for a vote.
Yes, for it.
And that's carried unanimously. Thank you. And thank you for bringing that forward, Councillor McGrath. Next, staying with Councillor McGrath, we have the item 3.3 downtown security and safety issues. I'll ask Councillor McGrath to read out that motion, please.
Move that administration review current municipal resources internally, externally, and consider opportunities to enhance safety and security for the downtown and report to council.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath. And thank you for a second, Councillor Ball. Councillor McGrath, do you like to speak to this motion?
Sure, I could make this one quick, I think. We went from a $50 million the streetscape Franklin Avenue to reeling back the arena, done some expropriation, but then we come out with a flood of money to address the buildings along Franklin Avenue, which I think was a good idea. We're very lucky as a municipality that we could offer, anywhere from 150 to 300,000 to dress up your business. So what I'd like to see, and maybe they're stopped now, but let's say if we had 4 or 5 security guards at the snow dump in July, maybe what they could be put on night shift. We need to protect our investment, and you can't leave it all up to the RCMP because they're taxed to the minute, like they do a great job. So my intention right here would be take a poll of the security that we use at the city, and what do we really need in the daytime when we're active, as opposed to how do we protect the businesses downtown. And it's not just protection. If you go down on back of, I'm going to say, Mr. Vargo's spot that we can all familiarize with, or maybe back in the day, Bunn's Master Bakery, or the Goloski, that end of town where Johnny Wilson was, there's a home. I was asking the other night about insurance. There's one of the Wood Buffalo housing structures was caught on fire when we were just letting people come back, actually, from the fire, and that's still not rebuilt. But if you go, one place has a real nice front place like the Sands Paint Store. But you come across the street, the back alley, as a councillor, we're responsible for the safety of people. We have propane bottles, diesel fuel, tires up over the fence, and we expect to support the fire guys. We expect to support the RCMP. Well, how about us doing our gig? We just had, I don't know, I'm not making fun, but we just had about 30 days of, 30 people looking at the bouncy castles, but they wouldn't move the pickups. We take our resources and get some better lighting downtown. We need some better lighting, because sometimes lighting works as well. Because something that's dark and dingy becomes home for the dark and dingy. Why would I know? I lived on the streets. You wouldn't go to a place where there's light. Me and Chief Vern, we started on top of the All Sands Hotel because it was heat up there. When he came down, I took his heat. But if you lived, all I can try to do is look at what we have. We're spending millions of dollars to make downtown beautiful. And when everybody leaves at 7 o'clock, the lights go out, and the poor guy that's down there trying to run a car lot, I mean, there's people breaking into that. So now we have the Mounties. They got to go attend to that day in and day out. By somebody else is hurting their kid and their wife, they get away with it. It takes a community to raise people. I think we're missing the mark on this. So what I'd like to see, I'm not trying to do the city's job. I'm just trying to say that we have a lot of headwinds. I think that if we just, instead of working in silos and putting everything up to the RCMP are busy, the firemen are busy, but I know we spend a lot of money on security, and if it makes sense, the guy that gets a grant of $300 to fix his face front, well, maybe 5% of that becomes in the kitty to pay for that security guard, because that'll pay for itself 10 times over. So Jody can go to pick up my son off the floor, or my daughter, or somebody, or somebody's kid, and Mr. Hancock can start saving lives, and here comes Bob Berger. So I'm saying, like, we have a serious problem, but if we're willing to spend $10 million to fix up downtown. Just imagine what 5% of that from the companies. We were giving it to them anyways. But I feel bad for the guy that's looking after his business. I mean, you go down, I know that Dwayne Parker wouldn't be, Dwayne Parker from Polaris. That alley, you know, the boys kept her going, but they kept her clean. But if you go up the alley now, if somebody to drop a match, Jody'd be fighting a fire downtown. And we drive past it. That's what I'm saying. It's hard to believe we don't get after that. But we can chase a car 5 minutes that's parked on the side of the road getting her kids. So Mayor Bowman, the whole intent is not to bring any more costs to the city, but to maybe take some costs that we already absorb and spill it over so that we can make downtown not great again, but make it safe again. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath. And we have a few delegates for this item. First of all, we have a letter from Dana D'Souza who asked me to read it. Dear Mayor and Council members, my name is Dana D'Souza and I write to you in my dual roles as Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce and the Chair of the Pro-Business Advisory Committee. I'm reaching out to express our strong support for Councillor McGrath's motion 3.3 concerning downtown security and safety issues. As you are likely aware, over the past year, our downtown business community has faced significant challenges with increased incidents of breaking and entering, as well as property damage. In response to these challenges, as Executive Director of the Chamber, I've been actively collaborating with the RMWB and the RCMP to foster discussions and engagement sessions aimed at addressing these concerns. Our most recent session was held in April 2024, was particularly insightful. The RCMP outlined several initiatives that have already been implemented and plan to introduce to support our businesses as we approach the warmer months. These include the commencement of enhanced foot and bike patrols by the RCMP and Bylaw officers starting May 1st, 2024, which we anticipate will provide a consistent and elevated security presence, thereby deterring criminal activity and protecting the assets and livelihoods of our local entrepreneurs. Furthermore, we are encouraged by the commencement of the development of the new granting program aimed at enhancing security monitoring for businesses, which is crucial and for ongoing crime resolution. During a recent presentation by RCMP guest speaker on crime prevention through environmental design, the critical role of comprehensive planning and collaboration among all these stakeholders includes city authorities, business owners, and law enforcement was highlighted. The insights provided underscored the need for a proactive and integrated approach to enhancing safety and security. Given the complexity of these issues, I firmly believe that our downtown will be greatly benefit from a thorough assessment and a robust long-term plan to address security and safety comprehensively. Such initiatives will not only resolve current issues, but also pave the way for a safer and more prosperous downtown environment. Thank you for considering this crucial matter. I look forward for your affirmative response, and to seeing the positive impacts of our collective efforts. Sincerely, Dan D'Souza, Executive Director, Chamber of Commerce, Chair, Pro-Business Advisory Committee. And next we have Chief Superintendent Mark Hancock.
Through the chair to Councillor McGrath, I'm just here in case there are any extra questions. I think I've already presented a lot about the downtown things we're doing, including starting our joint foot patrols with RCMP and bylaw officers starting tomorrow and working out of the downtown office. So there's several things we're doing, actually also including looking at bringing crime prevention through environmental design training in September. And we were dealing with the Chamber of Commerce on that. Tomorrow I'm presenting to the Downtown Revitalization Committee, and it'll be more of the same. So we're starting this project tomorrow, and it will keep going. So just wanted to bring that up. I don't know if you had any questions for me or if anyone else did.
Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, through the chair. Mr. Hancock, I always said this, I was never involved in your company unless I deserved it. I got nothing but respect for you, for Jody, for the first responders that keep us safe. And all this motion was trying to do is, you're taxed. And when I see people around the snow dump and stuff like that, I think that just having a presence, cleaning up, getting some lights where there's supposed to be lights, I think it helps you. And you got no bigger fan because I know how many lives you save. And I know what happened this winter. We had people come from the east and they were making dope downtown. And that puts all of us at risk, especially you guys. So I think you've done a great thing before Christmas. Somehow we put a stop to it. And I think if we let this place go a little bit worse, then it becomes a home. Then that kind of cascades, and then nobody feels safe. So now you spent all this money, but nobody will go there because you don't feel safe. I think safety is the least that we can do for our people. But I think you do a great job, and I'm sure your resources. I know you're doing a bike train, so don't ever think that I don't appreciate what you guys do. I just think that we have resources in the house that we could probably make good of. Like we used to have Mrs. Phibbs, Doug Phibbs' mom used to, Vera Nelson. These people, Mrs. Jean, Mr. Hill, like these people, when they had their businesses on Franklin, it was the neighborhood watch. I just think we need to bring that piece of community back and help them get there.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath. Councillor Bussieres?
Yeah, thank you. Through to Superintendent Hancock. Do we still have auxiliary police?
So that's a program that kind of went off the map for a while after a couple of incidents happened across Canada. But it's back, and that's something that we're trying to promote within the detachment, as well as Citizens on Patrol as well. If anyone wants to start that, our community policing unit can get that started. I'm definitely interested in having auxiliary constables if people wanted to come forward.
Okay. And just feeding off what Councillor McGrath said about expenses and that, without ignoring the other areas of the community and the rural, what would it take to, from a cost perspective, to patrol the downtown on a elevated basis, I guess? Like, could one or two officers cover the downtown, and without, you obviously can't ignore the rest of the region, but...
We're a 24-hour policing detachment, and now we're going to be having basically, a couple of shifts. They're going to be working throughout the day and night downtown, and I'm hoping you're going to see more visibility, especially with that force multiplier with Bylaw with us, and I'm all for that. So we've been promoting that. As far as extra bodies for downtown, let's see how this works. I've got a sergeant in charge of this unit that's going to be looking after the downtown, and it still has the rest of the detachment policing the area. These guys and girls they're focused on that area. And the sergeant in charge has quite a strong background, as I mentioned before, in suppression for gangs, violence, downtown issues. He's bringing from British Columbia. He's new here, so pretty excited about having him lead that team, and let's see where it goes. I think as far as extra bodies right now, I just want to see how this goes first.
Okay, and just one last question through the chair. Maybe you can educate me, Mark, on what, like, if you have RCMP, obviously, can do what they want, but a Bylaw or peace officer, could they engage in a chase or arrest someone, or do they got to back off at a certain stage?
That has always been somewhat of a concern for myself. I mean, they're out working, doing their job all the time, but they're not armed like we are. And so that's why we also are using them for a traffic force multiplier, but I want them with RCMP members. So if we're going to be doing that, we're going to be doing it together. And, there might be times where we have to take the forefront, obviously. So, but I have stated to the members with the downtown patrol that I want them out and about talking to people. I want them to be very respectful, but, uphold the law. So, there's some risks that I'm willing to take, and it's just working, but it's working with us.
Okay, and so you are looking for auxiliary members? That course is back on and happening?
100%, but that's only really within the last year or so that we've even been discussing it again in K Division. So, but it is something that we're looking at again.
Okay, thank you, and thanks for all you do.
Thanks, Councillor Bussieres. Councillor Benjoko?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman, and thank you, Chief. And I also want to appreciate Councillor McGrath for bringing this motion forward. I certainly think we need to do better with security downtown and generally. There has been more or maybe reduced, but it went all the way up for break-ins downtown, including the church that I attend twice. So I was really happy to have attended that last session of RCMP crime prevention seminar or so. And my question will be, are we going to take on the offer of the guest speaker that they are able to do a review of the kind of lighting that we have? Simple, smart methods might be able to help us. It was good education for me that even the type of lights could affect the effectiveness of security downtown. And there are some low-hanging fruits, the things we can do quickly. So that would not be a lot of cost. That would be great. So is that one of the things you are considering for the accepted guest speaker?
Through the chair to Councillor Banjoko, that's what we're hoping to do in September, is actually bring up some experts and have them actually train some police officers as well as some of the bylaw peace officers and some community citizens in, so that they can basically take that and teach businesses what they should be doing. And so we'll have more of an education component that we can actually facilitate this locally. So that's the plan. But also individual businesses, definitely our community policing unit, along with Celeste Bensmiller, who you met, that did the presentation for SEPTED. Yes. She's in Cold Lake. And if I wanted to bring her up here for some business, I think she'd be more than happy to come up here. And so we'll do the training in September. We'll get people trained so they can actually teach the businesses, but also if individual businesses are looking at this kind of information, I think we can bring her up or another person up to help them with lighting, position of things, trimming bushes, all the things that she talks about, yes. You know, minimizing the opportunity for criminals, yes. Really is what it is. And it gives us more time to catch them, makes it less attractive for them to try to steal and to commit crimes. Yes. So yes, definitely.
Okay, thank you. And the second piece I was going to mention is education. I mean, people can learn a lot about simple methods to prevent crime. So maybe it might be difficult to get all the business owners in one room, but if we have other methods to let them know, that I think that might also help.
Through the chair to Councillor Banjoko, we still have the crime prevention booklets at the detachment. Our community policing unit would just love to meet with businesses and hand those out again to whoever wants them, and they're really quite informative as well. So just even as an interim measure till we go further with more expertise and training. So those are available as well.
Okay, thank you. And finally, I think the study has shown that more police doesn't necessarily, I mean, when it gets to a certain the maximum level, more police might not really be the answer. More in number might not be. I don't know if it's...
Through the chair to Councillor Banjoko, if anyone's going to offer me more resources, I will always take it. If you look at places like New York City where you see the police on every corner,
yes.
You feel safer there as opposed to several years ago, right? So, but at the same time, we'll manage with what we have, and we'll see how this in all the communities works right now, especially downtown, coming up starting tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Banjoko. And Amanda, do you have something from Planning Development?
Through the chair to the discussion, as part of the Downtown Revitalization Incentive Program, the grants that were offered are now closed, but as part of the public engagement and evaluation post program, there was a lot of feedback about the safety and security of the downtown. And as part of the proposed new program, which will be coming forward to Council on May 14th, we are looking at providing top-ups for security measures that could be implemented as part of facade and interior improvement grants. and they would be up to $5,000 per grant. And it could include things such as motion sensors, security lighting, graffiti removal, CCTV cameras, alarm systems, new doors, door frames, locks. We're trying to allow businesses the opportunity as part of the grant program to also consider safety and the improvements that come along with some of the interior and exterior improvements. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Councillor Dogar? Councillor Dogar, you're on mute. There you go.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, for giving me the opportunity. Thank you very much, Mr. McGrath, for bringing this nice motion and to bring the attention of the community and have a better liaison between the law enforcing and the citizens. Thank you very much for the police chief for explaining it so and having a very effective control over all the matters to the best of your abilities. Well, I feel my question is that is the local security people of the particular localities neighborhood, is it functional or we plan it in future?
Through the chair to Councillor Dogar, if you're talking about things like Citizens on Patrol.
Yes.
Okay, so I've presented recently a couple of times on that, and that's something that our community policing unit would be very happy to assist anyone if a group, you know, I've had this in some communities I've worked in the past. And for example, in Happy Valley Goose Bay, I worked in that community, and people had radios, and they would call the police when they saw something that was serious, and we would attend, and helped us prevent a lot of crimes and catch things like impaired drivers, break-and-enters, possession of stolen property, assaults, things like that. So it's just another set of eyes for the community, and we certainly would support having support having Citizens on Patrol, especially in the downtown core. So it's something we're interested in. Obviously, you have to have the right people to do this, and that means security clearances, and it means doing a little background check on them, making sure they're the right fit. And, there'll be strict rules. If there are issues and they don't stay on this committee, they can't engage with people. They have to just call us. So, but if they work well with the police and they fit that mold, all for it. I think we had about 15 people in that smaller community in Labrador. So, yes, all for that idea.
Thank you very much, Chief. One thing I want to draw attention of my council colleagues, that always the political figures, public representatives should also encourage law enforcing. On Christmas Day, on 25th of December, I visited all the firefighting units, including Anzac and Conklin, and also a day before police also. Such like of participation certainly encourage uniformed man. I being an experience in this field, I feel it that way. And we should put up certain personal examples also. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor McGrath, do you have any closing comments?
I'm thrilled to know that, again, it takes a meeting like this to know that there's a few dollars coming by for some security. But again, if we're going to give out a grant to make a building beautiful, make a chunk of that to make a building safe. And we don't have to top up a whole lot, but I really think my observation is the Holy Trinity field, the lights, is like you go home every night. You go home safe. The lights don't go off. And I think it's really working. I think it's because I lived there when the lights weren't on. And I live when the lights are on. And life is better when the lights are on. It's like a big superpower. Thank you for everything you do to the bylaw and to the RCMP. I just think that we make it a little safe for everybody. People start coming back one at a time, because all we hear about is how we beautify the place, but to make it safe. And I think you guys get it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath. Councillor Stroud?
Thank you, Mayor Bowman, and thank you, Councillor McGrath, for bringing this motion forward. I completely agree with it. Council members have attended the Business Crime Watch meetings put on by the Chamber of Commerce At the meetings, there's RCMP, local business owners, council members, CAO Hunter, and members of staff. The aim is to forge a strong network of support that effectively deters crime and safeguards our economic well-being. Having administration involved to further enhance safety and security, such as cameras in certain areas, will certainly support this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stroud. And thank you, Chief Superintendent Hancock. And I as well support this, Councillor McGrath, and I worked for the Parkers at Quadratruck, and I know the back alley was clean because I cleaned it when we weren't busy, so thank you.
I think I remember that we bought the first 650 Polaris snow machine, the first 650 watercraft from Dwayne, and Diane, and I had them for about 2 weeks before you were fixing them. You know?
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess why I say that is because that's when people used to clean her up. But I know, Jody, I bring you up lots, so I think you do a great job. But if you go down there, you'd probably want to clean it up before you left, because it just, we all learned here in the community. There's one there is just a hot box. It's just waiting for a match. But anyways, I appreciate what you're saying, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for your support.
Thank you, Councillor McGrath. And like I said, I support this initiative. I'll call for a vote. And Councillor Doga, are you voting in favor?
Yes, in favor.
Thank you. That's carried unanimously, and thank you, everyone, and thank you, Councillor McGrath, for bringing that forward. Right now, I'll move on to Councillor Grandison's motion. If you want to read that out, Councillor Grandison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that administration consider cost-efficient opportunities to create pickleball courts in the community using current facilities such as outdoor rinks and/or tennis courts, and bring forward a report to council which includes estimated costs. And I would just like to add that was reminded to me by my esteemed colleague, Councillor Jane. Anytime I bring a motion, I'm considering it for the region. I apologize that I didn't put regional in there, but I want administration to assume that I meant regional.
Thanks, Councillor Grandison. Thank you for a second, Councillor Ball. Do we have any delegates to this item?
We have no registered delegates.
Thank you. Does council have any questions or debate points? Councillor Grandison, do you have any closing comments?
Short and sweet. I think everybody knows pickleball is becoming a sport of the times, and it's getting huge all around the world, and definitely if we build it, they will come. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Dogar?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for giving me a chance. Thank you, Councillor Alan Grandison, for bringing a positive thing that is for recreation and healthy recreation for the community. Please keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dogar. Councillor Benjoko?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Grandison, for bringing this forward. I just wanted to know if this game is already being played anywhere in the region, and if we would have enough demand for the supply that we are planning for.
We do have it played. In speaking with Councillor Stroud just before this meeting, the pickleball courts in Anzac are already well used. We have 2 of them at Mac Island, the RC. They're booked up often. This is a sport where cities are turning entire malls into pickleball malls and buildings into pickleball buildings. Mm-hmm. It was a sport that was started for seniors, but younger people are also migrating towards the sport, and it can be accommodated without a lot of expense on an existing tennis court that's not being used. It's a matter of putting different lines in. So it's a can of paint, essentially. And on some of the outdoor facilities, we have 2 basketball nets. Maybe we only use half of it for basketball and put 3 pickleball courts on the other half. So I'm looking at opportunities to react to the public need, but without a huge price tag. Okay, is what I'm hoping.
Yeah, thank you so much for the clarification, and I certainly love the part that is not very capital intensive or any serious budget, and that is good. So I'm going to be joining you on the court.
I'll get you out there for a game. You and I can have a heart attack
You
together.
have a customer right here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Banjoko. Don't see any other questions. I definitely support this as long as you're not taking my basketball courts. So I'll call for a vote.
Yes.
And that's carried unanimously. And thank you for bringing that forward, Councillor Grandison. And that's the end of today's meeting. Marcy Cho, Ken Muscumpton, thank you. And we'll now take a short recess before moving into closed session.